we all obviously would know you as Pastor Kenneth.
Yeah.
We would see you here at Cottonwood preaching. I personally do not know too much about you before you became Pastor Kenneth.
Oh, okay.
So my first question is, give me kind of a brief version of your life, particularly during adolescence. So middle school, high school, and then you can even go into college.
Okay.
When did you, give me that story, when did you actually then meet Jesus, become a Christian, and how did your life change because of that?
Yeah, so in like middle school, high school, you're going to school, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to find, yourself, trying to find what group you fit into and things of that nature, trying to do good in school, hopefully. And so, I did all that kind of stuff. I wasn't the best of students, but I tried to work hard, and I didn't work hard in all classes. There were some classes I got like a lot of slide just because I was good in basketball. But I graduated high school, and that was a great accomplishment. And then once I got out of high school, I got to college, and I was highly recruited around the country for basketball, and kind of had my choice of where to go, so to speak. And so I went to a school where I felt like, it was away from home, but not too far. So it was just up in Northern California here. And they had a good educational program, and so that was important. They also had a good schedule for basketball, and so we played a lot of great teams and stuff, and so that was helpful. But I didn't know Jesus. In high school, I partied. In college, I partied more and partied harder. And in college, I guess I drank in college. I did some other stuff in college, but I was also in a fraternity. I joined a fraternity in college. That was great. Loved that. Still in contact. You guys ever seen like Stomp the Yard?
No.
Oh Lord.
No,
okay, wait, that was too old for them.
Yeah, that was.
What's
all of our leaders have. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, look, Ava and Jordan got very excited back there.
Yeah, Ava and Jordan. Okay, what's a more common movie?
See, but that talks about fraternities and sororities. Monsters University.
What did he say?
He said Monsters University.
Monsters.
It's like the follow-up to
No, not Monsters. No.
Monsters Inc. Yeah.
No, with the big purple dude.
Yeah,
no,
the animated one.
No.
I think they do have fraternity. I don't know. I didn't ever watch the second one.
So like fraternities, fraternities are for guys, sororities are for girls.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was in a fraternity. It's like a brotherhood, and for sororities, like a sisterhood. And you go through this whole process before you can get in there. And then they have these things called Greek shows. And at a Greek show is when people dance and you perform together as a group, and then you compete against each other. And so I used to do that kind of stuff too. Yeah. And so, but this is sad. I'm sad right now. Yeah. Because you guys don't know about this.
Cinnamon's trying to show everyone in her section what it looks like to actually stop. Yeah.
Cinnamon, come up here.
No.
Cinnamon.
No, I don't think she's gonna do that.
Cinnamon, somebody.
Yeah. I don't think she's gonna do that. Do you want to demonstrate what stomping looks like?
See, I used to have my cane with me.
You would travel
because we would perform with canes, yeah. And so, I don't know. Can I do anything? No, I don't know. I thought Cinnamon was gonna come up here and help me, but she just sold me out. And so, anyway, no, it's good. I better not. I better stay focused.
It is a legendary movie for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I don't actually remember if it's appropriate or not, so don't watch it because I said watch it. But
and don't watch it because I said watch it.
Just clear our names there.
Yeah. Only the dancing part is what I was referring to.
So that's college.
That was college, and then here's the interesting thing. I went out. It was getting close to the end of my. No. Here's the thing. So before I went into college, I had a friend I knew, and he gave me a Bible before I went away to college. And I wasn't a Christian then, but he gave me a Bible. And this was a guy who kind of like I met in the community, in the neighborhood, where all the young kids would gather, and we would hang out and play ball and just goof around and that kind of stuff. But he kind of just took an interest in me, and he kind of just followed me, and we hung out and stuff from time to time, did stuff, worked out, played ball, ate together, that kind of thing. He gave me a Bible before I went away to college, and so I had that Bible and I always kept it on my desk, and I didn't read it really much at all. But toward my senior year, I picked it up, and I remember there was one particular night everybody was going out to a party, and they were like, "Yo, Ken, you coming with us?" And I was like, "No, I'm gonna just hang back tonight." And so I didn't go, and I stayed in the room, and I just kind of started reading the Bible, and that really meant a lot to me to read the Bible. And so anyway, I just those words just started seeming like food kind of to me. And I felt like God even kind of spoke to me in that moment, because I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my life? Like, am I going to, try to pursue sports? Am I going to pursue business and work up in the Silicon Valley, which is a lot of tech stuff gets created that we have today. Google's up that way. I had connections there from college and things of that nature. And so I was just trying to figure it out. And I felt like, God was speaking to me just a little bit, even though I wouldn't have said that was God. I just felt like something was coming into my mind that I didn't know before. And then there was another night where I did go out and party on a Saturday night, and I just felt kind of not good because of the way the night went. And so I felt like I should do something to kind of redeem myself. And so me and my friend Vic, he said, "Man, let's go to church tomorrow." And so we did. And the interesting thing is, we went to a church in San Jose, California, and I can't tell you what the preacher talked about. I just know there was great music, and and people were really expressive in worship. I knew that. But then at the end, the preacher got up. Let's say I was sitting in that section, and he was giving an altar call, an opportunity to have a relationship with Jesus. So I didn't really know what he was doing, but he said, "Somebody in this section over here needs to respond." And as soon as he went like that, I went from being dry to completely sweating, like I had just been running a mile. Everything was sweating: head, armpits, hands, everything just started sweating. I was like, what was that? And so I just kind of left, and I just kind of shook it off. I didn't know what was going down. Then I came back home after college, and my mother wanted me to go to church with her. I went to church with her. And then the guy who was preaching did the same thing. He gave an invitation, and as soon as he gave that invitation, I broke out into another full sweat, like from 0 to 60. And then I was like, I don't know what is going on. So I told my mom, I said, "Hey," I said, "if that guy says that again next week, I'm going up there." So I just kind of sat there that next week. I waited. As soon as he said, "Does anybody want to respond, to God today?" I just beeline went up there and just gave my heart to the Lord. And I just turned a 360 in my life. Jesus was everything that I was looking for, that I didn't know I was looking for. And I found it in him. So.
Yeah, and what I think is really cool hearing your story, two significant moments that you would point to. Number one was when you opened the Bible, and when you just read the scriptures. Yeah. In our society today, it is so easy and so tempting to find out what the Bible says without actually reading the Bible. Because you can just Google, like, "Oh, what does the Bible say about this?" Or you can watch YouTube videos where people will explain the Bible to you. They will, whether for good or for bad, whether they'll try to take the scriptures and contort them to mean something they don't actually mean. Like, it is so easy to get information about the Bible today. And yet, we would say, because the scriptures are inspired, that when you actually sit down to read them, it's not the same thing as just watching a video about them or as listening to someone else talk to them. Like, God can literally speak to you from the scriptures. Right. And I don't want to make it sound like that's supposed to happen every time you read, especially if you're a follower of Jesus. You already are a Christian. Like, there's a process where you just got to get used to the story. You got to learn it. You got to see yourself in it and learn about God through it. But if you're not a Christian and you're skeptical, there's such a great opportunity for you to discover something about who God is and the nature of God when you would just take the time to sit down and read it. And then the other thing that's super significant, or I think it's significant about your story, is that some of your kind of conversion moment, your breakthrough moments happened in a church setting. Yeah. Where somebody was able to, whether there was a lot of intention behind it or planning or whatever, they got you in a service. And just by being in there, by hearing people talk about the scriptures, exhort from them, by seeing other people worship, you start to have encounters with God. And, I never want to make it sound like, hey, like every single week, like bring someone to church. Like, I'm not trying to put that type of pressure on you. But if you're at school with people on a regular basis, you have friends, you have opportunities to obviously be a witness to them, to talk to them about Jesus, to demonstrate a life of following Jesus. You also have opportunities to bring them to church. It's a really easy way to get conversations started with your friends that might be difficult to, get started just kind of in day-to-day operations. But by getting them in this setting and hearing what we're going to talk about, being in a worship experience, it's a great opportunity for somebody to encounter Jesus in a unique way. Go ahead.
I want to add something to that. The thing I want to add to that is that in both of those instances, there was somebody who kind of brought me there, like Pastor Anthony said, but there was somebody outside of even a church setting, just in normal day life, who was a believer who connected with me. And that was a significant piece. And so I feel like, for all of you, if you can connect with somebody who knows the Lord outside of even church and spend time with them, that's going to be helpful. I used to have a bad temper, and this guy who connected with me, he really helped me when I had moments where, I just was kind of very, very angry, very upset, wanted to fight all the time and stuff like this. He helped me through those moments. Even when I was in college, I remember calling him up. I was just so mad, and sometimes when I would get so mad, I couldn't contain it, and so tears would just start to come down my eyes because if I couldn't release it, then I didn't know what else to do. And so he would help me through those moments, and then that's where God used him to help me to come to him. So I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. So you start following Jesus, and obviously I don't want to necessarily just spend all our time going into your story. I know there's a lot more there that we could talk about. But today, if you fast forward to today, how long have you been a pastor at Cottonwood particularly?
25 years.
25 years, okay. And I know today you do work outside of just Cottonwood. I know that you help, mentor other pastors at other churches. I know that you do work with other organizations and stuff. And I know that some of what you do actually does intersect directly with youth culture and young people.
Yep.
Just from your observation, what would you say are some of the main challenges that young people face today as it pertains to following Jesus and mental health? Just some of the unique challenges that they're going to face because of the culture and time that they're growing up in, and just from what you've seen, like what are some of the biggest challenges, the things that they struggle with the most?
I think one of the things that I've seen is distractions. There's just so many things that can distract you, from Jesus himself. We live in a world, I think, that is filled with entertainment, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's, watching other people's videos on our phone and laughing and getting laughs. And so we're highly stimulated towards entertainment. And it's not wrong, to enjoy yourself and have entertainment. But I think there's so much of it that we intake and want more than is necessary sometimes, maybe, and is needful. And so that feeds us more than Jesus feeding us. And Jesus once said about himself, I am the bread of life. And I believe he kind of described himself that way is because bread is food and we all need to eat. And we understand that. And so we need to allow him to kind of nourish us and feed us. And that's one of the things that I love about God, and that just kept me, once God got a hold of my heart, just kept me coming back, because I felt like I was getting food. Something was nourishing me on the inside. I was hearing things, I was seeing things, and it was helping me become a better person, become the person I believe I was really supposed to be. But so distractions is one thing, and then I think another one is the desire to belong and be accepted. Is another thing that's really huge in youth culture today. And your generation and your culture, probably even more than previous ones before you, You guys really appreciate being together, and you appreciate the idea of community and being in a group. But if you're in a group and that group is kind of going in a wrong direction, at some point, you have to be able to think on your feet and go, okay, do I want to continue with a group who's going in a wrong direction, or do I want to make a decision, and as Pastor Anthony said, follow Jesus? And so there's times where, Jesus's way is not going to be the way that everybody else is going. And so my encouragement to all of you would be, to find your relationship with Jesus, let it be real, and real personal to you, because there are going to be moments where, you're going to be faced with the decision to go with the flow or not go with the flow. And the flow is not always right. What everybody is saying, what everybody is doing, what everybody's believing, even though so many people are doing it, it may seem right, but it's not always right. And so you have to be able to see these things, think them through, and discern, like, is this right or wrong? No, that's not right for me. And if you can say that's not right for me, and then you can walk away, that'll be the day when you really start to become all who God wants you to be.
Yeah, and even just thinking about it, I'm really glad you said that second answer there, because I don't know if I had really thought about it. When it comes to one of the dangers to mental health is, I'll use the word tribalism that kind of happens today. So I'm going to use an example that's going to feel extremely disconnected from most of your experience, but then I'll get a little bit more focused. You may or may not know this, depending on how much attention you or your parents pay to politics, but here's something that's very common today, very, very common today. Let's say you have the Democratic Party. Let's say you have a senator in the Democratic Party, so they belong to this group, and they make a decision. You know what? I'm not going to vote for said bill, and I'm going to say something else. I don't like this bill. It is very common today and you can use either party, for the rest of the people in that group to basically try to get that person kicked out of their seat, and to try to ostracize them, to try to make them look crazy so that they don't get voted for again, so that they don't get a second term. And that is one example of our kind of culture of tribalism, where it's like, if you're with us, you're all the way with us, or nothing. Like, if you are with our group, it's either you believe everything we believe and you are going with everything that we say, or nothing else at all. And where that gets tricky is when you have groups and ideas that have some good in them, but as Jesus followers, we don't have to, in some cases can't, go all the way and say, oh yeah, I'm totally here for this. And whatever that is, you can pick your moral, ethical issue of choice for the day. Different groups are going to focus on different ones. And also, by the way, for the most part, identifying with a group is never going to be something that you verbally, externally, visibly do. It's more along the lines of, hey, you notice that you and most of your friends are going to agree on some of the core issues. What happens when 9 out of the 10 people in your circle go, oh, wait a second, you're not going to be a fundamental Christian who believes this thing over here, are you? It is awkward. It is difficult to say, oh yeah, this is just where I'm going to be different. And there's so much pressure in our culture today to kind of be yourself, and don't let anybody kind of conform you or put you in a box. Just be true to yourself. And for all of the talk around being true to yourself, one of the things that is actually really fascinating is how similar people are. How many ideas people have where it's like, oh, we actually all think the same thing, and yet we're calling it being true to ourselves, not conforming, not being informed by these other places, when really, if you don't look up, and if you don't go, where is everybody going right now that might not actually be true to the way of Jesus, you might just get swept along with the tide. So let's say distractions are a problem. Let's say, who they're around is going to greatly influence them. And then there's just the whole process of okay, paying attention to my mental health. Yeah. It's something that I have to, I got to do constantly. I got to make sure I'm aware of it. I got to fight discouragement, fight fear, stress, anxiety when it comes.
Right.
I think one of the misconceptions about being mentally healthy is that it's like a quick fix or it's something that you do one time. So maybe it's, the idea is like, okay, if I'm anxious, I'm going to jump on this meditation app and I'm going to meditate.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be fine from there on out. Or
Yeah.
I've known people where it can get very frustrating when it's like, why do I still feel discouraged? Maybe they'd use the word depressed. Why am I still sad? Like I feel like I'm doing the things, I'm coming to church, I'm, talking to other people about it, I'm receiving prayer, I'm trying to participate in healthy practices,
Right.
but I don't feel how I wish I felt.
Yeah.
What would be your encouragement to someone who's a little bit discouraged or frustrated with just the time that it takes to sometimes get to that place of health that you want to be at?
Yeah, I think beneath the surface of what you just said really well is part of the dynamic of the world we live in today is everything is quick, everything is fast, and I'm amazed at Apple because Apple comes out with a new phone every year, right? And the thing that's better about the phone is it has a better camera or it's faster. And so it's not too much more other than, a little bit of a shift in design. But everything is fast, and we're so used to getting things so quickly that we don't appreciate this word called process. And when it comes to our mental health is a process that we can get better. If we're not at a place where we're good and we're struggling with anxiety or I don't feel good right now in this moment and I want to feel better quickly, well, you can start to begin to feel better, but it may not be all at once. And so what I would use is a different word, is improvement. How can I improve from day to day, from week to week, from month to month? And give yourself some time, because things that happen quickly sometimes don't always suggest that that's the way it's going to be all the time. So I would just say, give yourself some time. Think about it. There are certain practices you can do as it pertains to mental health. And one of the things that I have observed in talking to a lot of young people that I talk to is there's a young man who hit me up last night, and he was like, "Man, can we meet?" And so I'm like, I don't know if we can, but what's up? And so we just kind of kept going back and forth. But the reason he wanted to meet is because in that moment, he was feeling a certain kind of way, extreme anxiety, extreme pressure. And so just through texting, we were able to talk it out. And then he felt better at the end. And it's always a process. And so give yourself to the process and realize that your feelings aren't the only definitive things that define you. Your feelings are valid, but they aren't the only things that define you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Man, that was, yeah, let's clap for that one. Whoever started that, good job. Here's like my favorite part of that answer is just when you're talking about process, because that's life. And I think here's one of the traps in life is that if in anything, in any area of life, mental health, a career field, Jesus, following Jesus, if you today would say, oh, in that area of my life, I'm like at level 4, and it frustrates me when I see people at level 10, and it makes me insecure or whatever, the only way you are going to go from level 4 to level 10 is to go to level 5, and then go to level 6, and then go to level 7. The idea of like, I'm here at 4 and I want to be at 10, and then getting frustrated as to, oh, why can't I get to 10? I feel like I can't get to 10, so I'm just gonna give up. What's the point in even trying at that? Because it feels so difficult. It feels so far away. For some of you, again, you can relate this to following Jesus, where it's like, man, I can't read the Bible for X amount of time. I can't pray as long as my parents. So what's the point? Like, because I can't do the thing that I feel like I'm expected to do, what's the point in even trying? That's not how you grow. The way that you grow is process, is that you're at 4 and you go to 5. Is that, hey, I can't focus for longer than a minute. Okay, then you are going to pray for a minute. I feel like I can't feel happy for just one whole week. Okay, let's practice rejoicing one day at a time.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, do not count yourself out or give up on the process, because it is a process. That is all of life. Did you want to add? Yeah, go ahead.
I just kind of wanted to add, oftentimes our mental health is affected by a couple of things. Number one, our experiences, and number two, our relationships. And so if our experiences aren't good and our relationships aren't like we would like them to be, then we feel bad about ourselves. I just want to say this to you. I'm going to say this just so you can understand the possibility of what God can do in your life. Even though your experiences may not be everything that you want them to be at the moment, and even though all your relationships may not be as good as you might want them to be at the moment, understand that God can help you to be at a place of peace and good mental health, even though everything experientially and relationally isn't going the way you would like it to go.
Yeah, that is the power of God, is
Yeah.
that a lot of what we're talking about this month is, hey, create kind of the environment in your life, pay attention to the things that are really going to influence you, and work on those. Control what you can control in that regard. But the God that we believe in doesn't need your life to be perfect, doesn't need you to have the best friendships and the situations taken care of and your family's taken care of for you to have that sense of peace and joy. That's not how he works. If he needed all those things, he wouldn't be God.
Yeah.
But he is. And he can do whatever he wants to do. Actually, one of the things that he wants to do is help you to experience that. So let me ask this question, because some of us are in here and you would go, hey, like, I'm not really anxious. I'm not really depressed. I'm kind of okay. Like, obviously I get stressed out every now and then, but I'm not really struggling with my mental health. How can we help our friends, the people that we go to school with? How can we help them with mental health? Because I actually think, one of the best avenues, if you're in here and you are a Christian and you want to reach other people for Jesus, I think one of the best avenues to learn how to do that is to learn how to care for people.
Yeah.
And that means when you see people who are hurting, do you have an idea of how you can help?
Yeah.
So if we go to school with people and they're going to, be open and honest with us and go like, yeah, I'm actually really depressed right now, or, I'm on anxiety medication or whatever it is, when they open up, how can we be helpful to them in Jesus' name?
Oh, that's beautiful. So one of the ways you can be helpful to them, the scripture came to my mind when Pastor Anthony was talking. Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. And sometimes you just being you and being at peace with where you are and who you are and how you look and what you have and what you don't have, that in itself helps all your friends. Because so many people aren't okay with who they are, and it comes out in stress, anxiety, all these different things. But more specifically to Pastor Anthony's question, when someone starts to open up with you, one of the best things you can do to help them with their mental health is just listen and then ask questions. So I'm not feeling, what did you say?
I've been really depressed lately, or like every time I try to hop off my anxiety medication, I'm stressed out, it doesn't work, I need.
Okay, so been really depressed lately. Okay, what's been going on? Why do you think you're depressed? And then just listen. And just take in the information, listen, affirm, like, wow, I'm sorry you're feeling depressed. I'm sorry you're feeling anxious like that. And then there's a moment right in there where you could say, I don't even know if you're open to this or if you're cool with this or not, but hey, would it be okay? Can I pray for you, whether it's here, or can I just, you can text me some specific things and then I'll pray for you when I'm at home. Is that cool? And then I'll check on you again, later on this week or next week or whatever. And then just do that. I think just being present with people when they're not doing good can really help them to do better.
No, that's good. So to kind of, we obviously touched on a couple of different areas there when it comes to either it's our mental health or helping someone else.
Yeah.
The way that I wanted to end was, we're all going to be in different places. And sometimes I say mental health, and the thing that you think of might even be different from the thing that I'm thinking of. What I'm thinking of is, how are you? How healthy are you? How happy are you? How whole are you? Is there a part of your soul that is struggling? And wherever we would, kind of fall on that spectrum or answer that question, I wanted to close by just asking you, like, very practically, PK, is there a particular Bible passage, is there a particular practice, habit that you would say, hey, if you are struggling when it comes to being healthy, whether that is, again, whether that's anxiety, whether that's discouragement, whether that's just pressure and stress, whether that's fear of the world, fear of going to school. And I know obviously those are all a little different, so maybe you might want to nuance them out in practice. But as a general rule, is there a Bible passage where you're going, hey, memorize this one. Let this one frame your outlook. Is there a practice that you're going, make sure whatever you do, don't stop doing that thing? As we leave, what would be some of those things?
Well, the list could go kind of long, but just to simplify everything, I think it's important as a practice to, let me pause and ask a question. How many of you have ever taken medicine before? Okay. How many of you ever had to take that medicine more than once in a day? Okay. Well, a few of you have. And so I want you to think of the Bible as medicine. And part of the way you take the medicine is you read and then you think about what you just read. You read it and then you sit there for a moment and you think about what you just read. And so what I'm going to suggest in terms of medication for you from the Bible for depression, stress, anxiety, any of that, just not feeling good about yourself, you don't have direction, all those things, I want to encourage you to read Psalm 23. Everybody say Psalm 23.
Psalm 23.
Just read Psalm 23 in the morning, and then read Psalm 23 before you go to bed. Psalm 23 in the morning, Psalm 23 before you go to bed. It'll take you 2 minutes to read it. It'll take you another 2 minutes just to think about it. And then you can go off, and then before you go to bed, do the same thing. Do that every day for the next 30 days, and then tell your small group leaders what's happening for you because you're doing that.